Okay, we all good here?
Yeah, can we see Diane?
We will join us. Is this okay?
Oh, of course. Yes, Laura. Remember
There's Diane.
stuff everywhere. Yes.
this everybody signed?
No, that's for guests.
Okay.
So,
Everybody here is for the meeting.
Good to see you. It's good to see you.
All right. Okay, I'm gonna open call the Board of Civil Authority.
gonna sit out there?
Mr. likely chair.
Yeah, exactly. I'll sit down there next to Claire, the head of
Just
the table.
because you've done this before.
In fact, beside you several times.
I know.
Mr. Air? Trained me. That's Bob to you. Oh, Bob, how are you?
All right, I'm gonna call the Board of Civil Authority to order here on January 20th, 2025 at approximately 6:01 PM. Any adjustments to the agenda? Hearing none. We have board organization. We need to elect a chair for the BCA. I'll take any recommendations, nominations.
I'd like to nominate Bob Ayers.
I would just.
All right, thank you, Diane. Diane has nominated Bob Ayers.
There she.
Well, I've asked Bob and Bob said he would like to pass the mantle. And,
Okay.
Wait, he did?
yes,
He
he
did,
said I would
yeah.
just assume pass.
Okay.
Would anyone else like to serve as chair?
Diane.
Diane, you want to give it a shot?
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
God, I love those lambs.
I'll nominate Diane Barenberg to serve as chair of the BCA.
Second.
All right, we have, Harry has nominated Diane Barenberg, Joe has seconded. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none. All those in favor of electing Diane Barenberg as the BCA chair, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries.
Make sure it was unanimous.
All right. All right, Diane, would you like to, now that you fully
no,
elected there?
I just as soon start next meeting. Be
Okay.
running it.
Well, I'll carry on through the
Thank
rest.
you.
Okay. So this is the time for public comment for any future BCA meetings. Is there any public comment? Hearing none. And we have the annual review of the election processes. So BCA elections checklist 2025, you all have that, I take it. Has anybody found anything or,
Oh, are we done with the annual review?
well, the annual review of the processes, well, what I have here is just the elections checklist.
Oh, I have number 5 on the agenda is.
Yeah,
annual
just
review.
below it though, BCA elections checklist.
Um,
Or the processes, we can go through the processes there if you know.
I think, Lisa, what you're finding is that, the header looks like a separate agenda item.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you,
but-
Yeah.
All right, sorry to interrupt.
That's quite all right.
The checklist being the checklist.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions there on the checklist? We have 929 registered voters, I believe.
My daughter no longer lives in Northville or in Vermont.
Okay,
Now, Corinne, could you remind me, this elections checklist that we have, the BCA checklist. Do you need us to go through and ratify these individually, or do you just want And
That's
you,
what we
Yeah.
did last year.
okay,
I guess we could all at once, but, some of them require more specificity. We have to decide if you're going to authorize the presiding officer to appoint an alternate presiding officer if unavailable, or if you want to appoint. Last year, you decided to appoint yourself and you nominated Lisa Keyworth. So those type of things.
so, our campaign polling policy. In conformance with 17 VSA 2508, 2564, and 2587.
Yep. So I have copies if anybody wants them, but I'm just asking for a ratification of what's already in place.
I'll make a motion to ratify the campaign polling policy.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Tim Born seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed?
I'll make a motion to ratify the use of tabulators.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I had Lisa Fearing as the first.
All right, Lisa jumped in first. Lisa gets it. All right, any discussion on the use of tabulators? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to ratify the use of ballot box and location.
So if you would specify that it's at 3541 US Route 2.
At 3541 US Route 2, North Hill, Vermont.
Do I have a second?
A second.
You got that, Corinne? Susan got it. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Designated polling place.
I'll make a motion to designate the polling place as the North Hill Community Hall.
The 3541 US Route 2.
That's the one.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second that.
Bob seconds that. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
I'll make a motion to confirm 7 AM as the time for opening polls.
Okay, do I have a second?
Who was that?
Who was that? Mary Jo? Mary Jo seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Confirm enough voting booths will
So
be.
last year, we motioned to provide 12 booths, 2 with curtains, and that has been adequate.
I'll make a motion that we use 12 booths, 2 with curtains.
Do I have a second? All right, Claire seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
How does everyone feel about the exit checklist? Is that a big part
That's
of
the
it?
only question I had,
So,
because you did away with it,
yes, so we had done away with it. We did away with it during COVID to reduce the number of volunteers, and I liked not having the checklist, exit checklist. And so you all took my recommendation, and we haven't been using the exit checklist. I brought it back for the general election because it was so complicated. With the automatic mailing of ballots, and it was basically like a hybrid election, which just means there's multiple layers. So I wanted a checks and balance for the day of voting to compare to the absentee, and it really helped. And so I did a debrief with my volunteers, really casual, mostly by email, and they all liked the exit checklist. So I haven't had any trouble getting volunteers. So this year I'm recommending that we ratify using an exit checklist.
So moved.
Second.
Lisa seconds. Harry makes the motion to ratify using the exit checklist. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Authorize early deposit of ballots into the tabulator for all elections in the current year.
I'll make such a motion.
Harry makes the motion.
I'll second it.
Susan seconds it. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Authorize presiding officer to appoint BCA members to deliver ballots to the ill or disabled voters as needed for the current year.
So moved.
Mary makes the motion,
I second.
Bob seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Appoint or authorize town clerk to appoint alternate presiding officer if the town clerk is unable to preside at any election in the current calendar year.
In this case, I would recommend, last year, we motioned to appoint Lisa Keyworth specifically. We now have 2 assistant town clerks, so I would recommend that you authorize me to appoint, and then I could pick, if I'm not available, who's best able to serve as the presiding officer in that election. But it's,
Isn't that what it's saying
totally
here?
up to you.
Appoint or authorize.
so appoint
Town
means that you
clerk.
as a board would appoint a specific person, or you could authorize me to appoint.
Oh, or authorize the
Yeah.
town clerk.
And what would the process be if you were like hit by a bus and couldn't do it?
So that's actually like what has kind of spurred this checklist. If we weren't here taking this action and I got hit by a bus, this board would have to meet on an emergency basis and pick somebody. So, this will be in the record now. So if I get hit by a bus, you've already made the appointment. So-
I thought you made the appointment. You will
Oh,
make the
that's,
appointment.
oh, I see.
So,
So if you get hit by a bus, yeah.
So, yeah, no, so I was thinking 2 different streams there, like if I'm sick and, cause I don't imagine myself dying, you know.
Well,
Nobody
yeah,
does.
no.
Could you
No,
just-
That's a very good point.
Could you just say,
If we want
One
to
of
appoint,
the-
no, if we want to appoint a specific person, I'd appoint Lisa Keyworth.
okay. Then why don't you
That
do
would-
that to make it easy?
Yeah,
Making a motion to appoint Lisa Keyworth as the alternate presiding officer if the town clerk is unable to preside at the election.
Do I have a second? Mary Jo seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Lisa, there for pointing that one out.
Mhm.
Authorize presiding officer to appoint election officials from the checklist of North Hero voters as needed for each election in the current year.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Bob seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Require the use of a vote tabulator in a recount subsequent to the annual election.
Make such a motion.
Barry makes the motion,
I second.
Susan seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Review
Wait a second, you guys are going very fast. So Harry Parker motioned for the
Yeah.
tabulator and a recount, and Susan Davis was the second.
right,
Okay,
you got it.
thank you.
All right, review list of voters added to the checklist by the town clerk at least 5 days prior to the election.
We're required to do that and we don't have to vote on it, right?
So, yes. Exactly. So what'll happen, this is like a reminder thing. I will email you 5 days before the election and you can look at with just a list of any changes since our review tonight. If you have any concerns, you can let me know by email. Or if it's a big concern, we'll meet.
So we don't get the whole checklist. We get
No, it'll
just
be
the ones
anything
there that you,
since this meeting, yeah.
okay. All right. Prior to September of every odd numbered year, that was probably one review checklist name by name and consider whether or not that person is still qualified to vote.
Yeah, so that takes us to our next agenda item. We've actually made it through the checklist.
Okay,
Um,
all right.
Yeah.
Okay. So. And then what, legislative body checklist, or we're gonna go through the list
Wanna
here?
go through it now?
Well, if anybody brought anything else up. And if you will. Re-educate me on this.
so
C,
on odd numbered years, we are required as a board to do just complete review of the checklist.
Mhm.
And then I have to notify the Secretary of State's office that that review has happened. I believe the way the statute's written, it's contemplated that we'll all sit around and go through it name by name. We've never done that.
Right.
You all have just asked everybody to submit their individual concerns to me and authorize me to make changes as necessary,
So we'll just give it to you then,
if that's what you decide.
rather than go through the whole thing. It's easier.
Well, I think it's worked actually quite well there in the past, that we've taken a look and we've had questions about this and that, and you've sent out letters
Mhm.
to people there to,
Yep,
you know.
And that's the C.
and that's what?
That's the C call.
Oh, yes, the
That-
challenge, C,
Yeah.
yes, challenge.
That's a challenge, okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so those are all the challenges, ones, yep.
So Fran, I have a question. Under page one, the last name burrito near the bottom. Is a duck space, is that because burrito Dana Camilla has two names that go with the last name?
I don't know. I don't have the checklist right in front of me.
All right, the second question is, why is there a C down on some of the columns? What does C mean?
Challenged,
What's that?
challenged,
That's challenge.
yeah.
It's been
So
challenged.
so we're doing the checklist now?
Yes, we're
And
going
then we're
over the
gonna come
check.
back to legislative
Then we
body.
come back to the legislative
Thank you.
body.
Also,
So, just, this is probably asked you this question before, but do you look at transfer tax data over the 2 years? And so presumably, if property is sold, challenges are already affiliated with those transacted properties.
That's probably a large majority of the Cs that you see in here. We have whenever we get a property transfer tax return, we have a checklist that we go through. I mean, we look for dog licenses, address changes in the billing software. We have a whole, and the voter checklist is part of that.
So presumably, most of these Cs on here have to do with those transactions.
Yeah,
Okay.
our checklist is actually pretty clean, especially now with the absentee ballots. People don't get them. They let us know their address changes. Most of what this board is really looking for are like renters. Like there's nothing that would notify me if, and we don't have very few renters. They do exist. But, you know, a family moves out, another moves in, there's no reason at all. From a property tax payment, a PTTR, like there's just nothing that moves through this office that would notify us of that.
Mm.
So
And
that.
to be honest, I have very little familiarity with the current number of year-round tenants and here.
Hey, it's just, you know, one example. Another
Sure,
is the, you know, college age kids, they come and go.
yeah.
I have two that have moved that are still on here.
Yeah, okay, so we can either do a review right now, or you as a board can ask everybody to submit their concerns to me directly and
I think that would be a quicker way of doing it.
I'll make a motion that everyone on the BCA review the voter checklist after this meeting and submit a list of challenges to the extent one results from their review. We're in.
Can we do this via email?
yes.
Okay.
is there another copy of the checklist? So we have one.
Sure, I can give you mine.
So nice of you.
What does VNP mean?
I don't know.
Or VNS.
Under-
Or NVS.
So at the very end of the checklist, there should be a cheat sheet.
Yeah.
Could be a what?
VNS is social security number not verified.
Okay. I see it
Harry.
under-
Harry, you made a motion. Do we need a second on that?
I think we do.
Yes, we do.
I'll second it.
Diane seconds it. Any further discussion on that?
Is there a date we need those by?
So let's do 2 weeks. So let's do February 3rd.
We have a friendly amendment to the motion that the checklists are filled out after this meeting and submitted to Corinne by February 3rd. Do you still second that motion, Diane?
I do. Yes.
Okay, good. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. All right, so. Then we're into legislative body checklist here. Must authorize mailing ballots to all voters. Can you,
So we actually, these are, on, the legislative body checklist section is on here so that the Board of Civil Authority is kind of reminded of the next step that happens outside of this board, but just so there's kind of a closed loop. If these next three items, I am not going to request that the legislative body take up the question of authorizing mailing ballots to all voters. I don't recommend that practice for an annual meeting.
right,
Number two, we've already scheduled the informational hearing.
Oh, we have, because I have a suggestion.
Okay,
My suggestion is to, schedule it more than 7 days prior to the vote, between 7 and 10 days. So that there is enough time for people to actually contemplate and discuss whatever the issues are.
okay. How is that?
I think at this point, it's already set, and maybe it would be something that we could take up next year, but. I think the majority of the information, well, not a majority, all of the information that is presented at the informational meeting is sent to the taxpayers in the form of the town report. And if any taxpayers in the town of North Hero wish to reach out to any of the boards that submit that data to be compiled in the town report, they can reach out to those individual municipal subdivisions for clarification at any time outside of the informational meeting, in addition to the informational meeting as well.
All true, and I think that's all relevant to the general ballot items. Maybe, I think one of the things that might be useful is to have a candidate forum prior to as separate from the informational meeting. For people that are running for office. Is that,
Well, I think that's presented on there anyway for the list of the openings.
it does.
it does, but I meant actually a chance for people to provide a statement or interact, if people had questions for
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 the
the-
potential candidates.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's, well, we did it last year, I believe.
Yeah, it's part of the informational meeting.
Yeah.
I think Lisa's point is the night before the election is not ideal.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, that's the thing, is it
Yeah,
just doesn't
she-
give people enough time to,
Think things through.
yeah.
Right.
The statute allows the informational meeting to happen within 30 days of the election.
But it doesn't say what has to be in the informational meeting? Could this be outside of the informational meeting?
I don't know.
The candidate forum?
Mhm.
Presumably, anybody can campaign as much as they'd like. Um,
But a town-sponsored candidate forum might fall under a different category.
it might.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
not sure how that goes there with, I mean, if you have a write-in campaign. Then that won't necessarily apply.
Right, but maybe, you make it open to, does anyone else wanna participate in the forum? Even if they're not on the ballot.
I mean, this is something that a lot of towns struggle with, and I've just heard other discussions. The thing to be careful with is you don't want to give the appearance that you are promoting and or endorsing certain candidates.
Right.
So if you do an event, it has to be very careful that it's for everybody, which I think becomes hard to coordinate when it's another meeting. There's nothing that
Yeah, we do have problems with meetings.
So the informational meeting is a nice cohesive, we're gonna discuss all the items on the ballot. We're gonna do it tonight. You come to one meeting as a voter. The practical thing to do, I think you're right, would be to just do it earlier. It's not gonna happen this year. We signed the warning with the meeting right before
Okay.
this,
Right.
so. But yeah,
Well, that'll be something there that we can
Discuss.
take up next year.
and this is not a new. The statute used to say you had to have your informational meeting within 10 days of the election. And it was changed to 30 because other people wanted that flexibility.
I think also we need to be highly cognizant of how having it 30 days ahead is gonna push forward all of our budget timelines. And,
Oh, it doesn't have to be 30 days,
but
but as soon as you.
depending on how much further or how,
Well, I think it says 30 days because that's basically when the warning has to go up. So everything's done by then anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
it wouldn't impact any of those other timelines for you,
'cause
mailings, nothing.
I mean, the warrant that it all kind of hinges on putting that warning up and nothing can change after that. So
Well, you have until what, the 27th?
to put the warning up, my goal is to get it up to 23rd.
The
Which is-
23rd.
You have between 40 and 30 days. I always shoot for the most because you
So
never
what
know what's
about
gonna
any
happen.
information there that goes into the town report? Because we won't
So-
receive that doesn't go to print until
The 25th,
the 25th.
which is still iffy. I don't like to,
And you can accept petitions
to
until
the
the 27th.
27th, but then there's a fee. Because we're small, so we get a lower ranking based on the contract amount that we're able to
Mhm.
provide these printers for our space and time. So there's always a juggling act that I play.
Well, you see, this is where I think where Harry's going with this, is that with the 30 days ahead of that, and you're getting this in January, towards the end of January. That means there that now we're back into December. So that we can,
No, because this is just the informational meeting.
okay,
So, right? Just the meeting in advance of the election.
Yeah, that's all I was thinking about.
No, and I understand that, I understand the concept, but when is everyone supposed to get their town report? When should it show up in a
Oh,
mailbox?
yeah.
Right, so
Absolutely.
if we're having the meeting 5 days
Yeah, you
before
don't
people
wanna
have
do
seen
that.
that, then
Right.
all we're doing is fielding speculative questions based on
You're
last
right, it
year's
has to be
numbers.
after the town report.
So people have to have received the town reports, digested them, identified the issues that are concerning, and be given a forum to bring them.
So the deadline to mail it by statute is February 22nd. My goal is the 14th of February.
Okay, so give 10 to 14 days for mailing, USPS.
So the 28th of February.
I mean, we could move it back, I think, a few days. And maybe accomplish this goal. I wouldn't be
Yeah,
opposed to it.
Yeah, I would certainly hope that the town report is out with at least a week for people to review it,
Right,
so. Or 10 days.
yeah, I mean, give people a week or 10 days to get the report, find some time to sit down and read through all 60, 70 pages of it, however much it is, and figure out what's important to them. And I make the call at every single one of our informational meetings. I think I've said it every year. The informational meeting is not the only opportunity for a concerned taxpayer to bring a concern to the town. And typically, we can give a much more robust response, looking at larger data pools, if those concerns are brought
sooner.
sooner. I guess, yeah, I mean, if we want to take it up next year when we're setting our meeting date,
I'll put it on the calendar to discuss.
Thank you.
All right. So have we conducted all our business? So we need to remember about the February 3rd, to get any of your question marks into Corinne on the voter checklist. With that said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Harry makes the motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Claire seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Brandon, you got a copy of the voter checklist?
Voter, well, excuse me here. Meeting has been adjourned at 6:30 PM.
Hi, Diane.
Bye, Diane. Thank you.
Chair.
Bye-bye.